politicians, and government agencies. We offer targeted advertising solutions that drive results. Amplify your message. Reach the heart of the Bronx and beyond. Our platform connects you to the community. Learn more. Email info@bronxpost.com or call 718-892-5555. Visit www.
Keep watching The Politics every Friday, 12 p.m. Eastern Time on New York Parrot TV, the voice for humanity.
Welcome to Talking Politics. My name is Robert Press. I'm a reporter. As you can see by my official New York City press card, I write for the Bronx Post and the Parkchester Times. Both, like this show, are part of Parrot Media Corporation. I also contribute to the Co-op City News. I have a blog at www.100%.blogspot.com where you could see more about stories, what I tell you, and other items. And Facebook page. I also have Facebook pages, 100%, and what is going on in your local community board, as there are very much activity in your local community boards. The views expressed on this show are that of the host, any guest, or anyone commenting at the bottom of the screen, and not necessarily that of Parrot Media Corporation. Let's go to a quick weather report. Today, Friday, the high will break 80. Saturday, it will be only 78 with late rain continuing on and off through the weekend. And Sunday, the high will not be getting higher than 70. It's expected to get only to 69 with a cooler, at times wet Monday with a high of only 65. Now, my guest was scheduled to be former Councilman Andy King, and he has not appeared yet or come on. I've been trying to contact him, and I hope nothing has gone wrong, nothing serious. I hope everything is okay with the councilman, and maybe he'll join me a little later. But let me go on to the news, because political reports that Governor Kathy Hochul will be touring the state over the next 2 weeks to talk about her budget wins, provisions that include cracking down on mass criminals, requiring the hospitalization of dangerous mentally ill people, and banning cell phones in schools. Hochul started her tour Tuesday, and yesterday she was in Grand Central Station. I don't think she found any mentally ill people because they were probably cleared out before she came. But the state budget has not been voted on yet, and it is now 32 days late. Moving on to the war in Ukraine, as the Trump administration gears up for what Secretary of State Marco Rubio tabbed as a big week for the U.S. involvement in striking a negotiated end to Russia's war in Ukraine. Russian President Vladimir Putin declared a unilateral 72-hour ceasefire next week in Ukraine to mark Victory Day in World War II. Ukrainian leaders insist on longer and immediate truce and dismissed Putin's move as window dressing. The truce proposed by Moscow is set to last from May 8th through May 10th. Ukraine, meanwhile, has previously expressed support for a full 30 days ceasefire, which the President Donald Trump has backed. And Ukrainian officials were in Washington Wednesday, hoping to finalize a deal to hand over a share of critical minerals in Ukraine in exchange for continued support from the U.S. Though U.S. officials have yet to confirm whether they are ready to put pen to paper, Trump has been pushing Kiev to grant access to deposits of lithium, titanium, and other earth element resources. Talks faltered after Trump's explosive Oval Office meeting with Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky back in February, but it appears that they have resumed between Trump and Zelensky, as they were both in Vatican City for Pope Francis's funeral, and they basically sat and talked for about 15 minutes. And Kiev now says their economy minister is currently in Washington for the final coordination of the agreement, is in essence finalizing the technical difficulties. Now, as far as Pope Francis, in his death, he brought together more than 200,000 mourners with delegations from over 150 countries, including a cast of world leaders who laid aside their temporal differences to remember the Pope. Before Francis' funeral mass in the front of St. Peter's Basilica in Vatican City, President Donald Trump and Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky had a very productive meeting, according to White House Communications Director Stephen Chung. Pope Francis would have been filled with hope from the result coming out of that meeting. Would be a good one for the Ukraine and the world. Former U.S. Ambassador John Donnelly told Playbook of the image of Zelensky and Trump sitting together knee to knee at the meeting. Cardinal Giovanni Battista eulogized Francis, who will be buried at the Basilica of St. Maria Maggiore, as a pope among the people with an open heart towards everyone. Donnelly said Francis will be remembered far beyond the Catholic faith. I think his legacy will be that of the people of the world who loved him in every corner and every place. People of every faith loved him. And if you talk about a goodwill ambassador for the church, it's hard to imagine anybody who's been better. Trump's explanation for why he decided to go to the funeral was simple. He said, "We did well with the Catholic vote, and our relationship is very good, so therefore I think it was appropriate," he said. As far as things go in New York City, Governor Kathy Hochul may want to rename one of our train stations Donald Trump train station there at 34th Street. Speaking to reporters updating on the late state budget, Hochul indicated that she might be willing to rename Penn Station Trump Station because Donald Trump, if he put $7 billion into it, who knows? When asked about renaming the project, "It would not be my favorite thing to call it," she said, "but it'll save us $1.3 billion that can help manage other costs," she said. The governor praised the federal takeover of Penn Station, thanking for, "I expect to see immediate progress given how efficiency is so important," Hochul said. Elon Musk could be in charge of the project and get it done really fast. She says she looks forward to seeing that. In theory, the federal takeover means the state could save over $1 billion, as $1.3 billion, as Hochul said, and they can use that money elsewhere because there seems to be federal cuts coming elsewhere. Hochul said various thorny policy priorities of hers are getting locked down and confirmed that tweaks to the state public campaign finance system, a measure that did not originate from her, and her masking measure are currently being discussed and have been significantly watered down from their starting points. There is Congressman Jerry Connolly announcing Monday that he will be stepping down as the top Democrat on the House Oversight Committee and forego a re-election bid, paving the way for a fresh face atop the influential panel. Connolly cited the return of his esophageal cancer, first diagnosed in late 2024, as the reason for his planned departure. "With no rancor and a full heart, I move into this final chapter full of pride in what we've accomplished over the past 30 years, Connolly said in a statement, saying that he would pull back from his ranking member position soon. At one point last year, it looked like Congresswoman Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez would be the oversight heir apparent, but after Connolly beat her out in a hotly contested race for the top slot on the committee last fall, AOC left the panel in favor of a perch on the Energy and Commerce Committee. It's unclear if she's interested in mounting a comeback bid for the Oversight Committee. Others that might step up to the plate include California Congressman Ro Khanna and Texas Congressman Jasmine Crockett. Connolly has tasked, though, Massachusetts Congressman Stephen Lynch, the second in line in seniority among Democrats covering for him on the dais until a permanent replacement is elected, beginning with Wednesday's markup of the panel portion of the GOP mega bill. Now, AOC has a big decision to make. whether she'll try again for the top spot on the House Oversight Committee, according to Politico, or some Hill supporters are excited by the project prospect, but other allies think her barnstorming tour portends bigger things. Several progressives are eyeing bids if AOC passes, while some senior Democrats are lining up behind Congressman Stephen Lynch in a bid to stave off the party's grassroots youth revolution. And there's also thoughts that AOC will be going after Chuck Schumer's seat should he vacate it or not. As far as the helicopter crash at Reagan Airport, an extensive report on the fatal air crash has come out. Up to now, attention has been focused on the Black Hawk's helicopter's altitude, which was too high, and placed the helicopter directly in the jet's landing path at Reagan National Airport. But new details show that the failures were far more complex than previously known. The helicopter crew appears to have made more than one mistake. Not only was it flying too high, but in the final seconds before the crash, its pilot failed to heed a directive from her co-pilot, an Army flight instructor, to change course, as radio communications, the tried and true measures of interaction between controllers and pilots, also broke down, the report says. Some of the controllers' instructions were stepped on, meaning that they were cut out when the helicopter crew pressed a microphone to speak, and important information likely went unheard. Now, let's see. Miss AJ says Trump is from New York. Why not name the local? Well, we're not going to say the next word. Didn't Cuomo name a bridge after his dad? We'll talk about that a little later. Okay, so let me go into the state budget agreement. Nearly a month ago, more than a month ago, I should say, after the state budget was technically due, which was April 1st, Governor Kathy Hochul announced a general agreement to pass a tentative $254 billion budget. In a short speech announcing the budget deal on Monday evening, Hochul highlighted the uncertainty facing New Yorkers and other states around the nation due to the threat of major funding cuts from the Trump administration and a possible recession on the horizon. You will see we made some responsible adjustments to the original state of the state that I proposed as we monitor and navigate a volatile economy, Hochul said in Albany. We've been hit with $1.3 billion in cuts. This may be just the tip of the iceberg, and the scale of potential cuts is simply too massive for any one state to absorb, she said. Although the budget represents a record high, $254 billion, it's only $2 billion bigger than what Hochul had originally proposed in her January executive budget pitch. Both the Assembly and State Senate have made the case to go even higher. Hochul didn't mention a few topics that her negotiating partners in the state government appear to still be considering, like housing access voucher programs and tweaks to the public campaign finance board. She did say her push to have lieutenant governors run on the same ticket, a late addition to negotiations, made the budget. Hochul declared victory over her bid to make changes to the state discovery law, an issue that contributed significantly to budget delays. She said her surrogate spent a lot of time pushing her proposal that she said would reduce the number of cases dismissed due to discovery problems. Public defenders and criminal justice reformist advocates vehemently oppose Hochul's discovery platform, and it wasn't to the letter, but Hochul got everything she wanted from the state budget, including her ban on cell phones in schools, like I said, discovery reform, involuntary commitment, inflation rebates, and even the late addition of a mask ban, although she acknowledged that she and the state legislature may need to return to Albany later in the year to address federal budget cuts in her eyes. But this is a win. It is a win, she said. I am going to take a break here. When I come back, we'll go to the latest report from the Cannabis Control Board. We'll have unemployment figures for March, and we'll get into the city budget, and we'll tell you who's who running in the Bronx, as there seems to be in the 13th Council District some of the candidates seem now no longer to be running, whether they were challenged by other candidates, which I did not see, or the Board of Elections knocked them off for one reason or another. And I will get into that a little later, right after the commercial. So let's go to our commercial.
Imagine a media platform that reshapes the conversation, empowers your voice, and redefines the Bronx community. Bronx Post, changing the reality, changing the narrative. For businesses, politicians, and government agencies, we offer targeted advertising solutions that drive results. Amplify your message. Reach the heart of the Bronx and beyond. Our platform connects you to the community. Learn more. Email info@bronxpost.com or call 718-892-5555. Visit www.bronxpost.com for breaking news and updates. Bronx Post, changing the reality, changing the narrative.
Okay, welcome back. Let's go right into the cannabis report from the Cannabis Control Board. In its first 2 years of legal sales, New York has generated more than $1 billion in retail sales of adult use cannabis from more than 260 currently operational dispensaries statewide. You're growing it at home, AJ? Okay, let's continue. With many, what happens is that the state's social and economic equality plan has 55% of the 1,646 adult use licenses, which exceeds the state's initial targets for those who qualify for the SEE plan, which are minority-owned businesses, a woman-owned business, or distressed farmers and service-disabled business. Now, other key findings in the report is over 500 brands are on the market, 2/3 of which only supply products in one or two categories. Registered organizations account for 10% of adult use sales and 19% of flower product sales specifically. Retail dispensaries tripled in 2024, reaching the 260 that I mentioned, and conditional adult use retail dispensaries accounted for 70% of open retailers at the end of 2024. It was found that the dispensaries that are doing the best are mostly downstate area, particularly in Manhattan, Queens, and Long Island. Apparently, the Bronx still has some illegal cannabis stores, which are undercutting these legal stores by not having a tax on them. So that it's a tax of 9.25%, I believe, on cannabis. And if you buy it through a legal store, and more than 1/3 of the dispensaries have been open for at least 2 months that are not generating enough revenue to be profitable in the long term, according to the analysis. Now, my good friend Kevin Diola texted me and said that Community Board 10 voted last night 13-9 to approve a cannabis dispensary at an East Tremont location. Let me go into unemployment figures. I'll do this quickly. For March, compared to March 2024 to 2025, U.S. had 3.9 in 2024, 4.2 in 2025, a gain of 0.3%. New York State fell by 0.2%, 4.3 to 4.1. The city as a whole fell 0.03%, 0.3% from 4.8 to 4.5. However, the Bronx still leads the state, even though it went down 0.4%. It was from 6.3%. It is now 5.8% in March 2025. Brooklyn went down 0.3%, 4.9 to 4.6. Queens down 0.2 from 4.3 to 4.1. Manhattan went down 0.4%, 4.5 to 4.1. And the borough with the lowest unemployment was Staten Island, which went down 0.3%. From 4.2% to now under 4% at 3.9%. Mayor Adams yesterday released his best budget ever, as he called it, for fiscal year 2026. He has $1.4 billion to protect critical programs previously facing spending cliffs. He's maintaining funding to CUNY, cultural institutions, libraries, education programs, sanitation, social services, and more. He will keep New York City on a path to have 35,000 uniformed officers by the fall of 2026. I don't know where he's going to find them. And the FY 2026 executive budget remains balanced at $115.1 billion, with gaps of $4.6 billion in fiscal year 2027. Let me explain. The New York City fiscal year begins in July 1st and runs through June 30th. So we're still in fiscal year 2025. July 1st, it'll be fiscal year 2026. And in fiscal year 2028, there will be a $5.8 billion budget gap, and in fiscal year 2029, a $5.7 budget gap. What is included here in the 10-year capital plan is $33.3 billion for the Department of Environmental Protection, $32 billion for transportation, $400 million for mass transit, $24.7 billion for affordable housing. I'm not going to read you the rest. You can go to my blog at www.100%.blogspot.com to find out more under the budget FY 2026 in the archive section on the left. Now, there is a push to rein in the mayor of the city of New York, as State Senator Jasperi Brisport and Assembly Member Harvey Epstein are introducing a bill that would allow the city council to remove the mayor, currently Eric Adams, with a 3/4 vote. Adams faced calls to resign after federal prosecutors brought corruption charges against him and top officials resigned from his administration. The U.S. Department of Justice later ordered prosecutors to drop the case against Adams. Now, people were thinking that Adams is doing Trump's bidding. Governor Hochul tried to use her power in the state constitution to put guardrails for the mayor, but it had to be approved by the state legislature, which was never done. Now, unsurprisingly, the Adams administration opposes the legislation. His term of office will end if he is not reelected on December 31st, 2025. The Rent Guidelines Board now has proposed to raise the rent in rent-stabilized buildings in 1 year from 1.75% up to 4.75% for 1-year leases, and for 2-year leases from 4.75% to 7.75% for 2-year leases. Political Pro reports. The mayor appointed panel voted 5-4, following a raucous meeting at LaGuardia Community College in Queens. The changes will take effect for leases signed in October, starting in October. And again, the dates, there's still dates. There's a June date in the Bronx for public input. It is again on my blog under rent hikes. And as Mayor Adams says, there will be no rent freezes this year. The Cuomo campaign refuses to release his consulting firm clients. He says he is pledging to recuse himself if elected mayor, but from potential conflicts of interest. But candidate Cuomo should disclose who his clients are and say not just he will recuse himself. Susan Lerner, the head of Common Cause New York, says it appears that Scott Stringer, who also has a consulting firm, has released a list of lobbying and consultant clients to Political after jumping into the Democratic primary. As Stringer says, Cuomo's camp does not want it. Now, as far as Mayor Adams, he will not be in the Democratic primary. He will be running in the as an independent candidate. He's gathering petitions to run on the End Anti-Semitism ballot line and the Safe and Affordable ballot line. His campaign needs 3,750 signatures from voters by May 27th for each general election ballot line. The mayor is clearly making a statement Ezra Friedlander, a Hasidic Jewish political consultant in New York City, said the election is a referendum on the incumbent, he added, and the issue is on anti-Semitism. Eric Adams deserves our praise, full stop. Adams told radio station 1010 Wins a few weeks ago that he plans to run on the 2 lines, which he says the Safe City, Safe Streets, Safe City program was spearheaded by New York City's first black mayor, David Dinkins, but Adams didn't think it through because the Board of Elections limits party names to 15 characters, and Safe City's Affordable City was too long, which was his original plan, so he's cut that down to Safe and Affordable, which is precisely 15 characters. And the draw for mayor has been done already by the Board of Elections. Number 1 is Mandani. He will be on the first on the line. There'll be an order. You'll go down. Second is Scott Stringer. Third is Selma Bartholomew. This is for the Democratic primary. Zelnor Myrie is fourth. Adrian Adams is fifth. Andrew Cuomo sixth. Jessica Ramos seventh. Whitney Tilson is eighth. Michael Blake ninth. Brad Lander is 10th. And Paperboy Prince made it to the ballot, and he is 11th. In all, like I said, 11 candidates are on the ballot for mayor on the Democratic line. The list is now on the Board of Elections website for all candidates in all 5 boroughs as far as city council and any other offices. There will be no primary on the Republican line. And as far as Bronx candidates go in the city council, the 11th district, it is Eric Dinowitz and Daniela Herbert Guggenheim. I hope to have either one or both on the show. The 12th Council District, Andy King and Kevin Riley. I don't expect to have Kevin Riley on the show because Jason Laley, the consultant to the Bronx Democratic Party, has told me in the past none of the Bronx Democratic Party candidates will appear on my show. Let's go to the 13th Council District. It has been cut down from the original 8 to 6 only. They are John Perez in the number 1 spot, Shirley Aldabo in the 2nd spot, who, like Councilman Oswald Felice 4 years ago, who was in the 2nd spot, got the drop-down votes when Mr. Perez dropped out, or should drop out. Most of his votes should be going to Shirley Aldabo. Now, 3rd is Jacqueline Torres. 4th is David Diaz. 5th is Joel Rivera. And last, in the 6th place, is Theona Reitz DuPont, who was the former chief of staff to Councilman Oswald Felice. In the 14th Council District, the line up will be Parina Sanchez, number 1, Fernando Cabrera, number 2, and Brian Hodge Vasquez, number 3. There is no primary in the 15th Council District. 16th Council District, Shakur T. Joseph will be first, and then Althea Stevens, the incumbent. In the 17th Council District, there is no incumbent, and the order will be Anderson Ortiz, number 1, Justin Sanchez, number 2, Freddie Perez Jr., number 3, and Elvis L. Santana, number 4. And there is no primary in the 18th Council District. As far as the Bronx Borough President goes, Rafael Salamanca Jr. Will be first, and current Bronx Borough President Vanessa Gibson will be second. There will be a Democratic debate in the 13th Council District at the Van Ness Neighborhood Alliance meeting Wednesday, May 7th. All 16 candidates are scheduled to appear at that debate, and I will have more on other debates. It appears that the Morris Park Community Association will have a debate the following week, but it appears that candidate Shirley Aldabo says she will not be going to that one, or the following one, then the following week at the candidates forum in Throgs Neck. Now, Bronx Week. The invite-only press conference and sponsor appreciation event will be the official kickoff to Bronx Week. It serves as an opportunity for Bronx Week organizers to speak in front of the press about the exciting things coming up. The borough president will announce the new inductees to the Bronx Wall of Fame and the People's Choice Award, which will be awarded to a Bronxite who has had an impact on the media and the arts. Additionally, the Bronx Tourism Council will debate the new Bronx Walk Hall of Fame interactive app, and this will be followed by a sponsorship appreciation reception, which all sponsors will be invited to. Now, if you remember, I said this invite-only press conference is going to be held, and I have not received my invite, so I will not be talking about Bronx Week. I will probably just be going only to the Bronx Week Parade, which is scheduled at the same time as the Riverdale event that is happening. So I may not even be at the Bronx Day Parade. So, like I said, this is an invite-only press conference for the Bronx Week kickoff, and I guess the borough president is not sending me an invite. Now, let's go on to Community Board 11 as I end the show here, and I'm going to run over a few minutes, Mr. Producer. Wednesday, I foiled in a Freedom of Information letter to the chair of Community Board 11, Cynthia Rodriguez, the district manager, and the Bronx Borough President's office, requesting the attendance of Community Board 11 members, not only at the full board meetings, but at all committee meetings, whether they were individual committee meetings or they were combined meetings of committees. Now, this was, I requested from September 2024, when the first full board meeting and committee meetings officially started, through April 2025, and I received from the chair of the community board, Cynthia Rodriguez, that I should send in a formal request that is on their, all of a sudden on their website, which I never saw. And I sent back to her that it appears that you guys all of a sudden made this request. I have done this in the past. I have asked for speaking time in the past, and I am not going to do it. And I will talk about it on my show. And I am talking about it here, that it appears Community Board 11 doesn't want you to know that their members are not attending meetings. And what I got sent yesterday morning was this. This is a list of the full board meetings of the members. And there are several members here. They're down to 36 members because in October, 2 members left. There was the chair of the Education Committee who left for a better job upstate. Then there was 1 member who left on November 20th. 1 member left on November 26th. 1 member was kicked off for absences on February 27th. Notice I'm not saying their names. And 2 members didn't reapply, so they were off the board as of March 31st. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The board started with 42 members, and it only has 36 now. And I'm going to talk to you that they have never had more than 27 members in the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 months in person at a community board meeting. They count 1 meeting in January, 31 total present, which means that 5 were online. When you're online, you're not in person. They've had a low of 21 members at their March meeting. Okay. And they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 members that technically could be removed right now for absences. And that is just for this, the full board meetings. This does not include community board meetings because Community Board 11 has canceled meetings. The Parks Committee has only met 3 times this year out of 8 months, and other committee meetings have not. There was a joint meeting of 3 committees, as I mentioned last week, and 2 of the 3 committees did not have quorum, and the 1 committee that was voting on liquor licenses didn't have the quorum, and it appears that a member who was on 2 of the other committees was counted twice, and that vote is going to have to be redone. And again, I will have more on this probably next week on the show about Community Board 11. And basically, here's my advice to you, Bronx Borough President Vanessa Gibson. You did not put me on the past 2 years. And you know what? I hope you have fun with Community Board 11. You called out Community Board 11 in November of 2023. Your representative said that you will base your reappointments on attendance. So I expect you to keep your word. And I expect to see 7 of these members off because they are in trouble. Because if you add in their committee meetings, they should be off Community Board 11. And remember, when I was on Community Board 8, we had to spend 20 hours a week volunteering. I was on 7 committees, and I'm not going to bore you with any more about my past, but nowadays, it appears that community board members these past few years under Bronx Borough President Vanessa Gibson don't care. I'm on the community board. Well, maybe I'll go to the meeting or not, and I'm going to leave it like that. Bronx Borough President Vanessa Gibson put some good members on this year that will attend meetings and do some work for Bronx Community Board 11, because there are a lot of issues coming up before Bronx Community Board 11, including a astronomically high building that Montefiore Hospital wants to build at Einstein Hospital, which will be the tallest building in the Bronx in a residential area that is only zoned for a 45-foot height buildings. And thank you for watching. I will have more on this next week. So I will see you next week on Talking Politics, and I apologize to my producer for running over, and thank you for watching.
Imagine a media platform that reshapes the conversation, empowers your voice, and redefines the Bronx community. Bronx Post, changing the reality, changing the narrative. For businesses, politicians, and government agencies, we offer targeted advertising solutions that drive results. Amplify your message. Reach the heart of the Bronx and beyond. Our platform connects you to the community. Learn more. Email info@bronxpost.com or call
Keep watching The Politics every Friday, 12 p.m. Eastern Time on New York Parrot TV, the voice for humanity.